And more than 2 million people have already voted. That's a record turnout expected to continue today. In early voting, nearly 1 million Marylanders cast their ballots in person. WJZ is live with team coverage. We start with Amy Kawada and what you can expect if you plan to vote today. Good morning, Amy.
Hey, good morning, Lynn. Well, the Woodlawn Community Center here is one of several polling locations available here in the county. And in just about a half hour from now at 7, all polling centers here in the state will open its doors and will close tonight at 8. And we already see a few voters out here lining up this morning for those polls to open. And if today is anything like what early voting showed us, election officials are expecting those same long lines. On the final day of early voting, lines stretched for hours outside of early polling centers like Towson University, even up until the 8 o'clock closing. And while some say it's tradition to vote in person, others are concerned about fast approaching deadlines.
I just trust myself voting in person rather than mail-in.
I was going to mail it in, and I waited too late, and I said, let me go around up here and do it today.
And with those lines predicted to be even longer tomorrow, it's something of just get it out of the way, get it done.
More than 140,000 people voted early on Monday alone, and just under 1 million Marylanders in total.
I think each day we've had a decent crowd at all of our sites. Morgan State has been the top site all week.
The State Board of Elections says of the 1.6 million mail-in ballots sent out, 1.3 million have been sent back. And however you choose to vote this year,
it's not going to be over on Tuesday. The important thing is just to be patient. Once your ballot's been received, the process is going to work.
For Raquel Morton and Michael McKelvey, they say voting in person ahead of Election Day was the safest and quickest choice.
Mostly just to get it done and make sure it got done correctly.
And I wasn't comfortable mailing it in or putting it in a drop box.
And if you still have one of those mail-in ballots, don't worry, you still have time. Officials recommended taking it to a drop-off ballot box like what you see behind me here over my shoulder by 8 p.m. when polls close tonight. Also, if you still have yet to register to vote, you can still do so in person today at your polling center. Just make sure you bring proof of residency. Live this morning, I'm Amy Kawada for WJZ.
Thank you, Amy. And voters will decide who will become Baltimore's new mayor. Our live team coverage continues this morning, and Annie Rose Ramos has the message from all three candidates as they make their final push. Annie Rose, good morning.
Tim, good morning. Well, voters are going to be lining up all across the city. There are already about 10 people just behind me here at Camden Yards. Now, we checked in with all three mayoral candidates to see why they think you should vote for them.
The Republican, the Independent, and the Democrat, all running for mayor in Baltimore, using the final hours before Election Day to make one final pitch. Democrat Council President Brandon Scott touted an impending wave of new leadership in Baltimore, while also focusing on state and national races.
You can't sit it out. You have to come vote. We know that we're going to have to be patient with the national election. We know that Vice President Biden will win, but we know that we cannot let anyone stay on the sidelines.
Republican Pastor Shannon Wright says she will be focusing on jobs, safe streets, and better schools.
It is absolutely critical that the vote that they cast needs to be for someone that they can believe will be able to get the job done, will be able to make our schools better, make our streets safe, bring jobs into the city that in an economic development way that makes sense.
The independent in the race is Bob Wallace. As an engineer and businessman, Wallace says he'll use his background to help change Baltimore.
I believe that the issue we're facing as a city, all the issues of violence and crime and poverty, all ties to lack of economic opportunity. So my plan is heavy on economic development and job creation.
And Lynn, we know this is a heavily Democratic city, but the Independent and Republican candidates are both banking that Baltimoreans will want to vote for someone new. Reporting live, I'm Annie Rose Ramos for WJZ.
Annie Rose, thank you. 7th District Congressman Kwesi Mfume cast his ballot during early voting yesterday. The Democrat incumbent is facing off against Republican Kimberly Klacik. She tweeted over the weekend that she also voted early, and she encouraged others to do the same. A big question Maryland voters will decide is on sports betting. Governor Larry Hogan supports question 2 on the ballot, which allows for sports betting in the state to fund education. DraftKings and FanDuel have spent millions on sports betting TV, radio, and online ads, as well as direct mail campaigns in hopes of having people vote yes. Remember, WJZ is your election connection. We will have special election night coverage with Nora O'Donnell, Gail King, and John Dickerson, as well as local updates starting at 7 p.m.